Who are the Dönmeh, and are they part of the Freemasons? The Dönmeh are a fascinating and secretive group tied to Sabbatai Zevi's messianic movement, and they're still a topic of intrigue in Turkey and beyond. Here's the breakdown with a nod to what's floating around on X. After Sabbatai Zevi declared himself the Messiah in 1666 and then converted to Islam under Ottoman pressure, most of his followers abandoned him. But a small, dedicated core didn't. They saw his conversion as a mystical necessity, part of a grand plan to redeem the world by working within impurity. These followers, numbering a few hundred families initially, also outwardly converted to Islam, adopting Muslim names and practices while secretly maintaining their own beliefs. They became known as the Dönmeh, a Turkish term meaning converts or turncoats, though it's often loaded with suspicion. In Turkey, the Dönmeh settled mainly in Salonika, then Ottoman, now Thessaloniki, Greece, and later Istanbul after the 1923 population exchange. Publicly, they lived as Muslims, praying in mosques, observing Ramadan. But privately, they kept a hybrid faith blending Kabbalistic Judaism, Sabbatean rituals, and their own innovations. They had secret prayer houses, unique holidays, like celebrating Zevi's birthday, and reportedly practiced endogamy to preserve their identity. Over time, they split into subsects, like the Yakubis, Karakas, and Kapansis, each with slight differences in practice or politics. By the 19th and 20th centuries, the Dönmeh were rumored to wield outsized influence in Ottoman and Turkish society. Some became wealthy merchants, others key players in the Young Turk movement that toppled the Sultan in 1908. This sparked conspiracy theories. People claimed they secretly ran the Committee of Union and Progress, or even orchestrated the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, Turkey's secular founder, gets dragged into these tales too. His Salonika roots and reforms fuel speculation he was Dönmeh, though historians dismiss that as baseless. Today, the Dönmeh are a shadow of their past. Estimates suggest maybe a few thousand remain in Turkey, if that. They've largely assimilated, and their secrecy makes them hard to pin down. They're a lightning rod for speculation. Users like @TurkeyUnveiled call them crypto-Jews pulling strings, tying them to everything from the deep state to globalism. Others, like @HistTurkAx, I'll push back, saying it's just anti-Semitic noise with no proof. Most evidence is anecdotal or from biased sources like early 20th century polemicists. Historically, the Dönmeh were Sabbatai Zevi's diehards who turned outward conversion into a survival strategy. In modern Turkey, they're more myth than reality, a scapegoat for some and a curiosity for others. Their real story's murky. Secrecy was their shield, but it also left them open to wild exaggeration. There's definitely a vibe that aligns the Dönmeh with the Freemasons in certain ways, especially the secrecy, influence rumors, and layered identities. Let's break it down and see where it connects, keeping it grounded with a bit of X-chatter for flavor. The Dönmeh and Freemasons both thrive on mystery. The Dönmeh outwardly lived as Muslims in Turkey, but held secret Sabbatean beliefs. Think hidden prayer houses and coded rituals tied to Sabbatai Zevi's messianic vision. Freemasons, meanwhile, are known for their private lodges, symbolic ceremonies, and a structure of degrees that only insiders fully grasp. Both groups kept their inner workings under wraps, which naturally fuels outsider suspicion. Influence is another overlap. The Dönmeh were accused of secretly shaping the Ottoman collapse and modern Turkey. Think Young Turk ties or whispers about Atatürk. Freemasons get similar heat. People claim they've pulled strings behind revolutions, American, French, or modern power structures from banks to governments. On Ez, you'll see @ConspiracyXman. Link both, saying Dönmeh and Masons are cut from the same cloth. Elites hiding in plain sight. No hard proof, but the vibe sticks. Then there's the dual identity thing. The Dönmeh navigated two worlds: public Islam, private heresy, much like how Freemasons blend into society, lawyers, politicians, while allegedly holding esoteric loyalties. Both also lean on mystical roots. The Dönmeh with Kabbalah and Sabbatean twists. The Masons with their mix of Enlightenment ideals and ancient symbolism, Solomon's Temple, etc. But they diverge too. The Dönmeh were born from a specific messianic crisis, Zevi's 1666 flop, and stayed a tight ethnic religious clique, mostly Jewish-turned-Muslim families. Freemasons are broader, a global fraternity open to various faiths, focused less on a single figure and more on a shared ethos. The Dönmeh's secrecy was about survival in a hostile empire. The Masons is more about tradition and exclusivity. Ex-users like @TruthSeekerX draw the line anyway, calling the Dönmeh Turkey's Freemasons for their rumored political clout. Others like @SkepticTurk scoff, saying it's just pattern-seeking. Secret societies always get the same rap. Historically, there's no direct link. No records show the Dönmeh joining Masonic lodges en masse, but the parallels in perception are uncanny. So yeah, they kinda sound like each other. Secretive, influential in lore, dual-faced. The Dönmeh are more niche and tied to a failed messiah, while the Masons are a wider, polished network. It's the secrecy that ties the knot. People love a hidden hand to blame.